Hi, my name is Robin Cotten, and today I will be discussing the effects of mentoring on oral reading fluency scores. Let's start with the research and background of this study. Education and traditional classrooms have undergone significant changes. Hunt, Ruiz, and Watson reported that we have multiple academic levels in the classroom now, as well as differing social needs of students. When you take a look at this picture of a typical classroom of today, we can see how teachers are easily affected by stress, and that it's difficult to face the realities in this classroom that they feel they may not have been adequately prepared for in their undergraduate studies or in their field experiences. This was followed up by McLaughlin and Merton's study as well. Because of this situation, Cook completed a study that determined that mentoring programs are on the rise. We know that mentoring programs work. For example, math teachers were studied by Hunt, Ruiz, and Watson and were determined to actively be more engaged teaching the subject of math after being mentored. Continuing with the background of this study, let's take a look at the importance of the mentor-mentee relationship. First and foremost, a mentor must be competent and be able to communicate honestly. This was important in the study determined by Womack, Wynn, and others in 2011. Relationships must be based on trust, and this will allow mentors to play very important roles in the lives of new teachers. This was found by Gomez and Arias, Range, Duncan, and Havisted's study as well. Trust and supervision are key. Mentor and mentees must develop a bond in order for the mentee to succeed in the student teaching role and then to carry that on over into a traditional classroom teaching role. We also know that relationship is critical for the transition from college students to the role of a professional teacher in a classroom. This was established by the study by Womack, Wynn, and others in 2011 as well. This study helped to show us that mentoring relationships aid with teacher retention as teachers are more apt to stay in the profession. It encourages commitment to teaching profession and also fosters relationships between the mentee as well as the mentor. Let's look at the purpose and justification of the study. This study examined the mentor-mentee relationship and how that relationship affects student performance in the classroom. This relationship is very important because we know that student engagement is critical for learning. New teachers should learn the best teaching practices and strategies that will enhance student performance. And we know that relationships involving trust guide new teachers. A study completed by Range, Duncan, and Havisted in 2013 discusses why the role of a mentor teacher is so important. Through this relationship, new teachers learn methods to engage student learners and to stimulate overall student learning. Now let's look at the research question and hypothesis for this study. The research question is, how does mentoring teachers impact fourth grade student performance on the Dibbles assessment? The hypothesis is, new teachers who receive training and support from a mentor will use oral reading fluency strategies more effectively to impact fourth grade student performance on the Dibbles assessment by causing scores to increase. Now let's look at the methods involved in this study. A quasi-experimental design was used to collect quantitative data and determine a cause and effect relationship based upon the question, did test scores increase in the control group receiving intervention? It also examined if new teachers being mentor increased the oral reading fluency scores of their students on the Dibbles Next standardized test. In this study, there were two groups involved, an experimental group of fourth graders and a control group of fifth graders. There were 30 students in each of the two groups. In January of the spring of 2017, a pre-test was administered to both groups, and in May of the spring semester of 2017, a post-test was administered to the same two groups to determine student growth and performance. During this time, mentoring was provided to the experimental group's, the fourth grade group's teacher, which focused on support and encouragement. Also during the spring semester of 2017, the mentor and mentee met 16 times. Mentoring was not provided to the control group's teacher, who was the fifth grade group's teacher. Regarding data analysis and results, this study compared the mean scores of the experimental group and control group before and after treatment, which in this case was mentoring. While both groups did show improvement, the important thing to note here is that the experimental group reported higher improvement than the control group. Furthermore, the experimental group reported a p-value of less than 0.05, indicating a positive, significant relationship between mentoring efforts and improved student test scores. The graph on the left gives you a visual representation of the before and after mean scores of both groups. The table on the right contains a summary of before and after group scores and standard deviations, in addition to t-scores, p-values, and degrees of freedom. Now let's discuss some important concepts involved in this study. New teachers need support and mentoring. In turn, this will create an environment in which student performance is enhanced. This study allowed for a more experienced mentor teacher to work with a less experienced teacher. But the unique thing about this study is that both mentor and mentee teachers benefited from the experiences involved. Ideas and strategies were shared between the teachers and enhanced teacher performance and student learning. Based on this student learning, standardized test scores improved. This study focused on the mentor-mentee relationship and how this interaction increased those standardized test scores in a traditional classroom setting. By the teacher receiving additional support and encouragement from a mentor teacher, she was able to teach at a higher level of engagement. This is what helped to enhance the learning of the students. As in this study, there is a link between teachers receiving mentoring support in a specific subject area and enhanced teacher performance. And also based on a mentor-mentee conversation and lots of interactions, a relationship of trust and encouragement was developed through this study. This idea of trust is also supported by the research of Gomez and Arias in 2015. They concluded that mentor relationships are based on trust and often play very important roles in the lives of mentees. After the conclusion of this study, the mentee teacher actually reached out to the mentor teacher and shared these words. "Honestly, I felt the accountability for one was powerful. Also, the encouragement was a catalyst. It pushed me to continue to work on the strategies and inspired me to try the others you suggested, such as whisper phones." Bonds of trust were definitely developed during this study that enhanced teacher performance and ultimately student performance on the Dibbles-Orff standardized test. As with any study, there were limitations and implications for further study. This study was based on a single sample set of 4th and 5th grade students. Additional studies involving multiple groups of students across multiple grade levels would be beneficial. Additional studies would help to increase awareness of the benefits of mentor-mentee programs, which could lead to increased funding and more widespread use of these programs in schools. Studying first-year teachers specifically would provide insight into the real-life challenges during a teacher's first year in the classroom. These challenges often create stress and impact students in negative ways, so it's very important to help our first-year teachers by providing mentoring to them. Since the availability of mentoring time is a limited and an unpredictable variable, additional studies should be completed focusing on the optimal time for meeting and mentoring opportunities to occur, for the frequency and the length of these meetings, for the best time of the day, the week, and the month to meet for both the mentor and the mentee. And by doing this, these would allow schedules to align and to alleviate wasted time and missed opportunities for mentoring. There are important educational implications of this study. This study supports the benefits of mentoring relationships for mentee teachers, for mentor teachers, and for students. The mentee benefits from a relationship of trust with his or her mentor and receives encouragement and practical advice and guidance to help him or her teach more effectively in the classroom. This affects student engagement and overall student performance. The mentor benefits from a relationship of trust with his or her mentee, receives encouragement and fulfillment from helping the mentee teacher grow and teach more effectively in the classroom, and this ultimately affects teacher performance. The student benefits from enhanced teaching practices with engaging classroom lessons. This ultimately helps to improve scores and student performance. Benefiting the mentee, the mentor, and the student enhances the entire educational experience. Additionally, it is very important to share the findings of this study at multiple levels. They should be shared with school administration, with the local school board level, county or parish official level, and at the state and national levels. By increasing awareness of the benefits of mentor-mentee programs, there can be a positive educational impact. Additional mentors can be trained and employed to support new teachers and encourage enhanced teacher performance and overall increase student achievement. The next 3 slides include all of the references used to complete this study. Thank you for joining me today and for learning more about the effects of mentoring on oral reading fluency scores. Are there any questions?
Hi, yes, I have a question.
Okay.
I've noticed that your data in this situation is applying to reading. I'm just wondering, is it possible for this data to apply anywhere else in the schools, such as math or coaching?
Oh, absolutely. That's a fantastic question. These findings definitely support that there is a need for mentor and mentee relationships in all areas of the school, whether it be academically in the classroom or in an art situation with music or coaching, anything of that sort. All new personnel, teachers, coaches need to be trained and need to have support and encouragement. So definitely it is beneficial in any area in the school to have a mentor-mentee relationship. Are there any other questions?
Yes, hi. I have a question about the reception that you may have received at your own school. I'm wondering, first of all, have you shared this with your own school? And then what the reception has been, and maybe even have there been any changes implemented because of this study? But just the overall reception that you've received.
That's another really good question. Overall, the reception has been very positive and very encouraging. I was able to share the findings of this study with several division heads at our school, our elementary division head, our middle school division head. Additionally, we have an early childhood division head and a high school division head. The results of this study were very informative, especially to the middle school division head, and actually a change was implemented for the fall 2017 semester. She has put into place a veteran mentor teacher to help with all new staff in the middle school division. She's to provide support and encouragement to all of these teachers and to help them adjust to a new school situation or a new grade level situation, whether that be in the form of lesson planning or parental issues, setting up grade books, things of that nature. So this is definitely a very well received idea and very supported by the middle school principal in this situation. And thank you all again for visiting with me today and for learning more about the effects of mentoring on oral reading fluency scores.